while we go over it. Okay. All right, so this first one's going to be a freebie. All right, so we'll go over it together, okay? And then I gave you questions for the chapter 2, yes? So tomorrow when you come in, we're going to give the chapter 2 piece of paper to another student, and another student's going to grade it, okay? This one we're going to go over together, okay? So everybody will get an A. So if you miss one, then you can correct it. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so we're going to learn. Yes? Sound like a plan? And then when we're done with that, maybe I'll pass out this business plan thing and talk a little bit about that.
What is this?
Did you print that off?
No, she gave me to it.
It's the upside down.
Yeah, that's the screwed up one.
Oh, she gave you the screwed up one?
Yeah.
Well, I have the non-screwed up one. So you'll have 2 copies. How's that? Did I tell her to pass those out?
I don't know.
I don't think I told her to pass
It was
those
a
out.
whack job.
Yeah.
In history, she literally paused your video so she could like put her own 2 cents in on it. She was insane.
Sorry. Okay. All right. So chapter 1, guys, this is a lot of stuff that you would have gotten in government class, and so forth. So let's just go with number 1. I'm on page 20 if you want to follow along with the definitions, because you just have letters on your piece of paper. So go to page 20. Okay, number 1, the doctrine requiring lower courts to adhere to existing case law in making decisions. Number 1 is P, stare decisis. Woo! Now you've heard of that. Julie, you've heard of that. Anybody else heard of stare decisis before? Tim? Not yet. Okay. So guys, in the courts, you have a dual court system in the United States. Okay. You've got the national courts. Okay. And then you have state courts. All right. Last week, the Supreme Court of the United States, which is here, made a decision on vaccine mandates for businesses in this country that have more than 100 employees. The Wichita Diocese, who I work for, has more than 100 employees, yes? So, under the Biden administration, they said that the Wichita Diocese had to mandate that all the employees be vaccinated or be tested weekly. Does the national government have the power to tell businesses they have to do that? The Supreme Court said no. U.S. government doesn't have the power to do that. Okay? Now, that is here. Okay? If you get pulled over by a state trooper for speeding, you're going to be over here. Okay, so you have 2 different court systems. We have the state Supreme Court. Okay, then when you drop down from here, you have what are called appeals courts. In the national level, they call them circuit courts. There's 13 of them. Okay, Kansas is in the 10th Circuit, and that circuit is in Denver. So the 10th Circuit encompasses like 5 different states, okay, at the federal level. And then you have district courts. There are 94 federal district courts, and there is one in Wichita. We are one of the 94, okay? Now, only 5% of all cases, court cases, are at national level, federal level. Okay? 95% are here. So, you also have appeals courts here at the state level, and then this is where 95% of the cases begin at the city, which is municipal, okay, or county. So if you get pulled over by the Sedgwick County Sheriff, you go to county courts. You get pulled over by the Wichita Police Department, you go to municipal court. You want to sue somebody in a small claims court? You guys ever watch like Judge Judy or anything like that? That's small claims. Okay. So I want to sue somebody. Went to the store, I bought something, it didn't work, they wouldn't refund my money, I'm going to sue them. That's here. Okay. You also have traffic courts, divorce courts, juvenile courts, and so forth here. Family court. Do I follow? Okay. Now, stare decisis means once they make a decision, that's how you follow the law. So the Biden administration knows it cannot mandate that employers with 100 or more people cannot force people to be vaccinated. The federal government cannot tell them to do that. Follow me? So here on out, we know the federal government can't do that. That is stare decisis. So if there's another court case, say the Biden administration says, well, we want employers with 500 or more employees to mandate that their people be vaccinated. We know you can't do that. You with me? That is the principle of stare decisis. Okay? Requiring lower courts to adhere to existing case law. That case law has been decided. Now, what the Supreme Court also decided last week was that hospitals can require doctors and nurses to be vaccinated, or they can fire them. Okay, so doctors and nurses who are our medical professionals cannot make their own decision about whether they get vaccinated or not and keep their job. Really? Okay. I guess the federal government has that power now to tell our medical professionals they have to be vaccinated. So that is now existing case law. So if you're a doctor or a nurse, as far as your rights to decide your own healthcare choices, those are now diminished, more diminished than the general population. What do you think about that? If you're a doctor or a nurse. I don't, you just lost your freedom to make that decision yourself. Okay. Now, guys, this whole COVID thing is crazy, right? So I had it. Okay. And I think I had the Delta variant. Did you have it?
Yeah, I had it.
Okay. So I had fever and body aches. That was it. Now the body aches suck. Like my lower back, 4 days was like, it hurt. So, I loaded up on ibuprofen and stuff that helped. But I think I had the Delta variant, which is probably what you had. You had fever. Yeah. So the Omicron, which is what most people are getting now, is more of your general cold symptoms. Like I have a runny nose, sore throat, that sort of thing. Okay. And that one's spreading like crazy, right? like crazy. You're all going to get it. Everybody's going to get it. That's what the CDC said. That's what Fauci said. Everybody's going to get it. Okay? So, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. Okay. All right. So, that's what stare decisis means. Once they rule something, the lower courts have to follow those decisions by the court. Okay? With me? All right. Number 2. Group of laws that set forth how rights and responsibilities can be legally exercised and enforced through the legal system is O, procedural law. Okay? So, guys, in here we've got procedural law. Do they have substantive? R. Oh, they didn't put it on there. Okay. Okay, so you guys know what a procedure is, right? If you get arrested, they have to read you your what? Your Miranda rights. Okay? Now, this is a good example, okay? This was Miranda versus Arizona, 1966. So it's a Supreme Court case. Okay? Miranda was arrested and he started talking about the crime. Now, you guys have all heard this, right? You have the right to remain silent. That goes to the Fifth Amendment in the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights. It says you have the right not to incriminate yourself in a crime. You have the right to say nothing. You understand? Well, Miranda didn't know that. So when the cops started asking him questions, he told them the truth, that he had committed these crimes and so forth. Okay? But he didn't know his rights. And so his lawyer sued and said, hey, my guy didn't know that he didn't have to talk. The cops told him he had to talk. Follow me? And so they said, in this case, they said, now, if we're going to arrest people in this country, we need to tell them what their rights are when we arrest them. Okay? And so that, guys, is stare decisis. So every arrest that takes place in this country from here on forward, since Miranda, they read you your rights, following the decision by the Supreme Court. That's exactly what stare decisis is. Procedural law is following a set of procedures. It's also due process. So when you're arrested, you have certain rights. Like, guys, they have to charge you with a crime within 72 hours, or they got to kick you free. That's procedural law. Okay? You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed for you, which means the taxpayers will pick up the cost of a lawyer for you if you cannot afford one. You have the right to that in our Constitution. That's procedural law.
From Tim Goebel to the office.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Should he take his stuff?
I'll come back.
Okay. Good luck.
I'll try.
You guys following that? Procedures in law, okay? So the definition is group of laws set how rights and responsibilities can be legally exercised and enforced throughout the legal system, okay? And there's tons of that. So, like, look, if you're found guilty here, part of procedural law is you can appeal that decision to a higher court, okay? And if you lose here, you can appeal that decision here. And if you lose here, you can appeal that decision here. Okay? Good? All right. Let's go to number 3. Enforceable rules of conduct on society. That's easy, right? Laws. Okay? Enforceable laws. 4. Law based on the customs of a group of people. Okay. Number 4 is F, common law. Okay. Now this is interesting. I was reading about this. This is not something I talked about in my government class, really. But these are just like customs that people have, expectations. Okay, and when you talk about the foundation of our laws, some of those laws come from just common beliefs that there should be a law against that, right? Like stealing. It's a common law. You shouldn't be able to take something that's not yours. Okay. Now, would you guys agree that adultery, like cheating on your husband or wife, is wrong? Is there a law against it? No. You guys read the Scarlet Letter, right? You were supposed to. Is that this year, last year? Junior year, right? Scarlet Letter. Now, people don't want that society. They don't want that. Okay? They don't want that shame. Okay? Sometimes people cheat on their spouses. It's not against the law. Okay, 5. Legislative enactment by a city is an ordinance. Okay, which is M. Number 5 is M. Did you know that in the city of Wichita, if you play your music in your automobile, subwoofers, you guys know subwoofers, right? And it can be heard 50 feet away from your vehicle, you can get a ticket for that. That's a Wichita ordinance. You have gotten one? Yeah. So that's not a state law. It's not a federal law. It's a city ordinance. Okay. Now, can that ordinance from Wichita be enforced in Coolidge? No. Okay. Or Salina. Now, Salina may have their own ordinance. Are you expected to know, if you're driving through Salina, their ordinances? Yes, you are. Okay, ignorance of the law is not a defense. Okay, so every community can pass an ordinance. A lot of these like protect neighbors. So like loud music from your house past 10 p.m. type of thing, like you gotta turn it down. But prior to 10 p.m. and after 9 a.m., play the music at your house as loud as you want. Okay, but once 10 o'clock hits, you got to turn the music down. Okay, that's to protect your neighbor. Okay, or when I'm sitting at a traffic light and you're playing your subwoofers and my body is vibrating, protecting me. Right? How much was that ticket? Do you remember?
It wasn't that much because it was already parked. It was like at a car wash.
Oh, okay.
It was like inside the thing, so it echoed even louder. It was like $90.
Wow, that's not nothing. Yeah, so you probably didn't even know that was a rule. I don't know if you knew that was a rule.
I didn't until
Yeah. Was the cop cool about it?
Yeah, he was cool. Usually they charge more.
Nice. Okay. All right, number 6. Group of laws defining and setting punishments for offenses against society. Number 6 is H, criminal law. Okay. So, as we'll learn here, guys, you got civil law and you got criminal law. Okay, so when you talk about criminal law, if you violate this, there's a punishment for it. Okay, it's the same as an ordinance, but it's a law set usually by the state. Okay, so when we talk about laws, you got national laws, state laws, and then your local ordinance. Okay, most of what we live by, guys, are these. Most laws are state. There are some federal laws. Let's talk about some examples. Marijuana is a federally national banned substance. Marijuana. National. Okay. Many states are violating federal law, yes? Oklahoma? Kansas is considering medical marijuana as we speak. Oklahoma now has medical marijuana. Colorado has decriminalized it, as had many states. We're up over a third now that at least allow medical marijuana, a third of the states. All in violation of national law. Whose job is it to enforce the national laws? The president is the head of the executive. The executive branch's job is to carry out and enforce the law. The top law enforcement officer of the United States is the Attorney General. His name is Merrick Garland. Okay, today. His job is to enforce federal law. So Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States, could shut down every pot shop in America today if he wanted to enforce federal law. Okay? But they choose not to. That's called prosecutorial discretion. What about our border, our southern border? Are our laws being enforced on our southern border right now? Not with much energy. Okay? It's crazy at the border right now. Okay? That is up to the president and the Attorney General. Okay? Some laws they enforce with vigor, some laws they don't. All right? Now, what about the drinking age law of 21? National law, every state has drinking age of 21. Those are actually state laws. Every state has this. Okay? What about the tobacco law? Where you can't buy tobacco until you're 21 now. The national law. Okay? Most of them are state. The ones that we abide by. Okay? And if you violate the drinking age one, okay, what do you get? What if you're a minor in possession of alcohol? Called an MIP, right? Right? It's a misdemeanor? Yep. You go to jail? Could you go to jail? Yeah, you could go to jail. Probably not going to stay there very long. Okay, they'll probably release you to your parents. Okay, or just give you a ticket. Yes? What if you get busted with pot? Same thing, right? Now, depending on how much you have, how much pot you have in your possession, if you have a pound of marijuana, that's called possession with intent to what? Distribute. Which means they assume you're not going to smoke all that weed yourself. You're going to sell it. Which could be a felony. Okay? Now, there are state laws against marijuana as well as federal laws. It's a federally banned substance. Okay? So they write the criminal code. They say, okay, if you have less than this amount of marijuana, you just get a ticket. If you have more than this amount of marijuana, you go to jail. And other substances as well. You got LSD. Criminal code is stiffer. Yes? Okay. So you got to know those laws. So those are criminal laws. Okay. Number 7. An open, peaceful violation of the law to protest its alleged injustice. C, civil disobedience. Okay, I got into some debates on Facebook the other day on this, and you may have seen it, okay? You guys hear about this? You what?
I was there, like I was supposed to be recognized.
Oh, you were one of the kids that was supposed to be recognized.
Yeah, the other kids are very passionate.
That's okay. Everybody's got a different opinion on this, and it's okay. Okay, so guys, they had an election in November for the school board. They elected 3 new members. Okay, and so they were going to have the first meeting and swear in the new members. And they had a bunch of elementary, middle school, and high school students that were going to be recognized for some type of academic excellence or something like that. Yes? What were you being recognized for?
Mayor's Youth Council.
Yeah, Mayor's Youth Council. Okay. So you know the kid, Lee. What's his name? Andrew Lee. So I actually shared some talk to him
Yeah.
on Facebook. Nice kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 3 new members refused to put on a mask at the meeting. Okay. One of the things that they running for a seat on the school board was to do away with the mask mandates for the public schools at 259 because they're masking. You understand, right? So, and then there were people in the audience, yes, that wouldn't want to put on a mask either, right? So the head of the school board canceled the meeting, like shut it down, okay? And because those people wouldn't put on their masks. All right, so the kids that were all there to get recognized didn't get recognized. You know what I mean? And so there was outrage over that, okay? Were these new school board members acting in what's called civil disobedience? Let me define it for you again. An open, peaceful violation of the law to protest its alleged injustice. I called it civil disobedience on Facebook, and I got pushback from some people saying it wasn't civil disobedience. I'm like, it's the definition. They were violating the rule because they thought the rule was unjust. And they were saying, well, they're setting a bad example for the kids. And I said, no, they're not. They're showing a good example for the kids that if they feel like something is unjust, they should stand up against it. That's what we're teaching the kids. So that debate went back and forth. And I talked to Andrew a little bit, and he was like open-minded about it. You know, he felt bad that the kids, especially the elementary kids that were there, didn't get their recognition. And that's a thing for sure. Okay, but they also know that they can stand up for something they disagree with. You know, in violation. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the school board here. Like, if these people are going to get sworn in, they're going to have these meetings or what have you. If they don't get sworn in, they can't vote to do away with the mask mandate. So they may have to suck it up for one meeting and then they can vote on it. You know what I mean? So that was really kind of interesting. But yeah, the Wichita Eagle publishes an article about it. Next thing you know, there's a big debate on that. So, really good timing for this class on that. Good? Okay, number 8. Power of the court to decide a case. That is called jurisdiction. Okay, so you get a speeding ticket in Wichita, Kansas. Is the U.S. Supreme Court going to hear that case? No, they don't have jurisdiction over that. Okay, the local traffic court has jurisdiction over that. So original jurisdiction is the court that's going to hear the case initially. Okay, and when we talk about the court system, guys, it's important to understand this part of it. Okay, these courts, these lower courts down here, these courts are trier of fact. They try and find out the truth. Okay? If you don't like the conclusion of the lower court, like I said, you can appeal to a higher court. But these guys, they're not looking at the facts. They're looking at your procedural due process. Okay? So if you were charged with robbing a bank, okay, that's a federal law. Because the bank is part of the Federal Reserve Board. You would rob a bank, that's a federal crime. So that's going to be one of these 5% of cases. So you're found guilty here. Now, the reason why you were robbing a bank is because you were poor. You got caught. Now you need a lawyer. Right? But you can't afford a lawyer because you're poor. You're found guilty. You get a court-appointed lawyer. The lawyer, during the trial, falls asleep. Did you receive adequate representation from the state? No. So, you are still guilty. At this point, you appeal here. These are trier of law. Your argument in the appeal is that my court-appointed attorney fell asleep during the trial. I didn't get a fair trial. So these judges on the appeals court will say, yeah, that's right. You need to be retried with a better lawyer. Okay, they don't reverse the guilty plea. They just call for a new trial. Does that make sense? This is the procedure was violated. Okay? The judge did something wrong. The lawyers did something wrong. The jury did something wrong. You follow me? Okay? The procedures were not followed. So you could have a good appeal there. Okay? Number 9. Law enacted by state legislatures or federal legislatures. Okay, this is called a statute. Okay, so it's just another word for a law. A statute is another word for a law. Simple, okay? You got to follow those statutes. You talk about business, which this class is focusing on. That's a term that's used a lot more, statute. Okay, you got to follow those rules. Number 10, law made when an appellate court endorses a rule to be used in directing court cases. Okay, that is B, case law. Number 10 is B. Okay, similar to stare decisis. Number 11, a collection of standards of conduct and moral judgment forming the basis for a reasoned, impartial decision as to what is right and wrong. J, ethics. Okay, so when you talk about business, guys, ethics is a very important part of that. Okay. Did any of you guys see the interview that the owner of the Golden State Warriors gave yesterday, day before yesterday? You guys see this? This has been all over social media. The owner of the Golden State Warriors, which is a professional NBA basketball team, was being interviewed, and the guy that was interviewing was asking him about China. Now, if you don't know what's going on with the Uyghur population in China, these are Muslims in China. They are being imprisoned They are being raped. They are being murdered. They are committing genocide against these people in China. They're using them as forced labor. Okay? And you have all these woke individuals in the NBA talking about social justice in the United States, but ignoring what the Chinese government, communist government, is doing to these people. We're about to have the Olympics in 17 days in China, while they are committing genocide against a Muslim population in their country. This owner of the Golden State Warriors says, that's below my radar. I don't care about the Uyghur people. It doesn't matter to me, basically. This is what he said. Okay. Well, that sounds ethical. To make a bunch of money off of contracts in China with the communist government, ignoring genocide of a race of people for profit. No big deal. Who cares? But you claim to be woke, and you claim to be for social justice, but you don't care about these people. You ever hear that before? Like, you know, in Nazi Germany, the Holocaust, just Jews. Who cares? They're just blacks. They're just Hispanics. They're just white Christian male. Who cares about that? Okay. Sounds pretty ethical to me. All right. Number 12. Document sets forth the framework of a government and its relationship to the people it governs. That one's pretty easy. G, the Constitution. Okay. Guys, this is an outline of our Constitution up here. Okay. This is the supreme law of the land. It does exactly as it says. Document sets forth the framework of government and its relationship to the people it governs. Okay. Number 13. Group of laws that allows individuals to seek legal remedies for wrongs done against them. These are the civil laws. So, this is where you sue somebody else for a wrong that's done to you. So you go in for an operation, okay? And it's a big, say you're going to get your appendix removed, all right? And it's a pretty basic operation, but they administer the wrong drug, okay? And you fall into a coma that lasts more than a year because they administered the wrong drug. You gonna sue them? Yeah, you're gonna sue them, okay? Now, they may be criminally negligent as well. Like somebody could go to jail over that, but you can for sure sue them, which be part of the civil law process, which we call tort. Okay, so you're going to sue somebody that goes into the court system. All right? So we have criminal law, we have civil law. Civil laws are about relationships between people in organizations. Okay, so if you own your own business, you have to have insurance to protect you and your assets. Does that make sense? Because you could get sued if something goes wrong. So say you own a tree trimming company. You trim limbs off trees for people, right? Cut off one of these limbs and it falls on somebody's house and the roof caves in. You're looking at $50,000 worth of damage. Now, if you don't have insurance, they're going to sue you and try to take your house from you. Make you sell your house so you can pay the $50,000 to fix their house. You need insurance. Does that make sense? Okay. So before you hire that tree trimmer, you make sure they have insurance. Oftentimes this is called they're bonded. They have protection. If something goes wrong. Follow me? Okay. Number 14, laws grouped into an organized form is code. So all our laws are in a code. Okay, you can look them up, organized. And then 15, fairness, equity, high. Number 16 is law dictated from above is a positive law. It's kind of a weird term, okay? But when these laws come down from our governments, they are called positive laws. They're affirmative. They're out in there. They're positive within the public, okay? Now, there were two questions I asked you to answer. What were they?
18 and 19.
Okay. Louisiana is the only one of our 50 states whose law is not originally based on English common law. What system was its laws based on? How does this system come to be used? 17. Where did Louisiana get their law? Okay, from Roman civil law, from continental Europe, also the French influence. Okay, so, and they don't have counties in Louisiana. They have parishes. Okay, it's also from the French. Okay. And then what was the other one? 19? Okay. What does the phrase interstate commerce mean to you? Would you consider growing vegetables in your garden for your own consumption, interstate commerce? Why or why not? So guys, there's a clause in the Constitution called the Interstate Commerce Clause, okay? And basically, this was hardly ever used in this country till the 1930s in the New Deal, okay? Pick that up tomorrow, okay? Hey, if you haven't done this chapter 2 homework, do that tonight, okay? And we'll do the same thing tomorrow, but we're gonna grade them. Good? Did you learn something today?
Yeah.
That was my goal. Hang on to it.
I'm going to mark that.
Okay, good.
Technically,
Who else is going on? I forgot that.
Thank you.
we could the Supreme Court
I'll post
rule
the video.
over a traffic violation in some way.
If the thing